I am a reluctant interlocutor for a whole host of imprisoned electroreceptors, condemned to a perpetual neurotic circular in this exotic detention centre. Sometimes I feel like I'm a prisoner. I think I'll stay here for a while. I think I'll stay here for a while. Today, when you or I drink a glass of water, we amplify this hypersea as we sustain our existence through other webs of physical intimacy and fluid exchange. In this act of ingestion, we come into contact with all our companions that inhabit the watershed from which that water was drawn. Book lice, swamp cabbage, freshwater mussel. But we connect with the sedimentation tanks, the rapid mixed flocculators that make that water drinkable, and the reservoir, and the rain clouds too. Hypersea extends to include not only terrestrial flora and fauna, but also technological, meteorological and geophysical bodies of water. Subjectivity is not the exclusive prerogative of anthropos, unhinged from dialectics of recognition. At the National Marine Aquarium, the Atlantic Ocean exhibit is the deepest in the UK, and the largest single tank with over 2 million litres of water. But this tank is a diorama, it has no future, and it's a complete fiction. It is, in fact, fake news, given the absence of prey and clearly disinterested relations between the species. These relationships don't happen in the wild. So what are their relationships in the tank?
Circular, neurotic,
well, on one level, fish are engaging in visual culture, in our visual culture, looking out at us as well as in at each other. So who am I anyway to speak for the sharks? Subjectivity is not linked to transcendental reason. Dynamic and sustainable notion of vitalist self-organising materiality enlarge the frame and scope of subjectivity along the transversal lines of post-anthropocentric relations. Subjectivity as an assemblage that includes non-human agents has consequences. Subjectivity is not the exclusive prerogative of anthropos, unhinged from dialectics of recognition. What is acoustic telemetry tagging? And what are tactical effective gestures? As watery, we experience ourselves less as isolated entities and more as oceanic entities. I am a singular, dynamic wall dissolving in a complex, fluid circulation. The space between ourselves and our others is at once as distant as the primeval sea, yet also closer than our own skin. The traces of those same oceanic beginnings still cycling through us, pausing as this bodily thing we call mine. Let's get them wearing biotech wearables for a hydrocentric more than human world. If the percentage of this planet which is ocean is 70%, then do we not live in the hydrocene? Attention to the mechanics of watery embodiment reveals that in order to connect bodies, water must travel across only partially permeable membranes. In an oculocentric culture, some of these membranes, like our human skin, give the illusion of impermeability. Still, we perspire, urinate, ingest, ejaculate, menstruate, lactuate, breathe, cry. We take in the world selectively,
a circular,
and send it flooding back out again.
A circular, neurotic
This selection is
medium.
not a choice made by our subjective human selves. It is rather always an impersonal expression of nuance and affirmative material energy striving towards increasingly differentiated forms. Selection traverses other more subtle membranes too. Those that are either too ephemeral or too monumental to be perceived by us as such, yet that choreograph our ways of being in relation, a gravitational threshold, a weather front, a wall of grief, a line on a map, equinox, a winter coat, death. Welcome to this episode in the planetary archive of meaning and matter. How do we know what wearing a tag feels like for a shark? The enemy of humankind is humanity itself. Humankind is an ecological being that can be found in the symbiotic real. There is no pronoun to describe ecological beings. If I call them I, then I'm appropriating them to myself or some pantheistic concept that has no regard for specificity. If I call them you, I differentiate them from the kind of being I am. If I call them he or she, then I'm gendering them according to heteronormative concepts which are untenable in evolutionary terms. If I call them it, I don't think they are people like me. And if I call them we, then I am relinquishing my difference that marks me out as the best mammal at throwing and sweating. What am I doing as if we all belong together without regard to cultural difference?
Do you have a thirst for knowledge?
Appropriating the other. Are you thirsty?
Is we?
Morton asks, where is the ecological pronoun? Let's get them wearing biotech wearables for a hydrocentric more than human world. There's a 2.5 metre long lemon shark. There are sand tiger sharks, nurse sharks, the only spotted eagle rays in Europe, stingrays, cow-nose rays, barracuda, tarpon, jacks, and many more animals. If the percentage of this planet which is ocean is 70%, then do we not live in the hydrocene? Do you have a thirst for knowledge? Here's some thoughts.
Are you thirsty?
Transcontextual tangles, symphonic hive minds,
Lemon
symbiotic
sharks
collaborators,
are
speculative
nocturnal predators,
fabulation, and are actually, surprisingly, picky eaters. They prefer prey that is slow and easy to capture, like parrotfish, majaras and crustaceans. How do we know what wearing a tag feels like for a shark? In acknowledging this corporally connected aqueous community, distinctions between human and non-human start to blur. We live in a watery commons where the human infant drinks the mother. The mother ingests the reservoir.
Do you have a
reservoir
thirst
is
for knowledge?
replenished by the storm. The
Are you
storm
thirsty?
absorbs the ocean sustains the fish are consumed by the whale. The bequeathing of our water to an other is necessary for the custodianship of this commons. Oh, the imminent elements of relations. What is sentience? What is personhood? Welfare, commerce, conservation, education. What are our children learning from seeing a giant fish tank? Given all these issues, why am I doing it? Ain't nothing going on but the rent. And I'm staying with the trouble, so someone please call 911. Subjectivity is not linked to transcendental reason. How do we know what wearing a tag feels like for a shark? If the percentage of this planet which is ocean is 70%, then do we not live in the hydrocene? I am a reluctant interlocutor for a whole host of imprisoned electroreceptors, condemned to a perpetual neurotic circular in this exotic detention centre. Oh, the imminence of relations. What is sentience? What is personhood? A single whale shark fin can sell for $10,000. Cash in hand, they say, is the most liquid asset. Sometimes I feel like I'm a prisoner. I think I'll stay here for a while. I think I'll stay here for a while. Here's some thoughts. Transcontextual tangles, symphonic hive mind, sympoetic collaborators, speculative fabulation. Let's get them wearing biotech wearables for a hydrocentric more than human world. Eco, home, tone, tension. We must learn to be at home in the quivering tension of the in-between. No other home is available. In between nature and culture, in between biology and philosophy, in between the human and everything we ram ourselves up against, everything we desperately shield ourselves from. Subjectivity is not everything we throw ourselves into, wrecked and recklessly, watching, amazed, as our skins become thinner. Bodies of water having personhood. You've heard that, haven't you? About rivers being given personhood. Shall I tell you a story about English women and personhood? In Saxon times, men and women had equal rights. But it is only since subjectivity is not the exclusive prerogative that English women were given personhood, unhinged in law, from dialectics of recognition. That's less than 100 years ago. That's 10 years after the women in England got the vote. Do you think sharks have personhood? Do you think sharks want personhood? Do you know what it feels like in this world for a girl? Do you know what it feels like in this world for a shark? Let me be your tiger shark, your spotted eagle ray. A circular, neurotic tedium. A circular, neurotic medium.